Good morning. I'm Julie Thompson, Executive Director of PACTV, and as always, on Wednesdays at 10:30, we have a wonderful show brought to you from the Council on Aging in Duxbury. So I'm going to go right into introducing Joanne Moore, who's the director, and just one question or one statement to make. If you have any questions during this forum at all, email them to duxburyinfo@pactv.org, and Joanne and Kay will answer those questions. Joanne, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. We're thrilled to have you with us again, and I love to spend my Wednesday mornings with Kay Cooney. She's a geriatric nurse practitioner, and every week we leave with some really wonderful information. And this week, our topic for today is aging isn't for sissies, and we all know that true. So you have to be brave as you age, and we have to enjoy this gift of time. And Kay's going to share some facts with us so that we do it well. So let me turn it over to Kay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanne. Good morning, folks. Thank you, Julie and Joanne, for all your help, and all the folks at the Duxbury Council on Aging and Senior Center for all that you're doing behind the scenes for this. We appreciate it. This is a presentation that I have done probably 100 times over the last 15 years, and I love it. It gives a lot of information, a lot of perspective. And what I also did at the end of his presentation was I put in a slide for those of us who have been doing this together and you've been following along through this phase of pandemic, of what we've learned so far and how to put it all together, right? So I'm all about teach you something that you can go do and fix today. Right? You don't need to go do more studying or more learning. What's the deliverable? So we're gonna summarize that today as part of this presentation. Now, this is where it gets helpful. What do you want to hear next? Right? So some of the topics we can do, and your emailing in is so helpful. Do you want to hear about pain and CBD? Do you want to do skincare? Is there a topic you want to see us address? Do you have questions about immunizations or a specific disease? Please help us out and tell us what you want to hear about, because this is your show. So let's get started. Joanne, is there anything that you need to add in about the Senior Center? What's going on? Anything these folks need to know?
What I would say is the next month's newsletter is out. It's online. There's some great programming coming on. So please check out our website at duxburyseniorcenter.org. I'm working on the July newsletter. We will be virtual in July, and hopefully in August we'll do a slow, careful opening and start offering some limited programming. But we're taking the guide both from the state and from our Board of Health. So look at the newsletter. I try to send a good update every month. And if you ever have a question, just leave me a message on my phone, 781-934-5774. Or send me an email at joannemoore@duxburycoa.com, and I'll get back to you right away. Thanks, Kay.
All righty. So let's tackle some of the issues around aging. And today's topic, which is my favorite, is aging is not for sissies. I've worked with the aged population now for, close to 30 years. So long before I was aged. And it is a population that I have always valued from the historical and the knowledge and the wisdom perspective, but also with the creativity that comes with age, right? So from a workforce perspective, I will take a 60-something over a 20-something any old day, right? We have figured out things that we just never knew we would be figuring out. So let's get to slide one. And on slide one, the message that I want to get here loud and clear. So understand that my master's degree is specific in gerontology, geriatrics, and the aging process. And when we talk about this slide here, the taking the pledge, there is a new paradigm to aging that we still need to fight ageism and get this message out to people. And it's this: aging is not inevitable. So disease is not inevitable. Pain is not inevitable. So there are things that we can do to slow this aging process and to keep on the wellness spectrum. So I can remember years ago when I was in school, one of the things that fascinated me was they did a research study with, I think it was, say, 10 men, 65 and older, and 10 20 somethings. And they put them in the gym, and they did that, went through their weight training and their cardiovascular training, all that good stuff. At the end of the 13 weeks, the 65 and older had performed as well, if not better, than the 20 somethings. They had gotten the same amount of increase in muscle mass as well as cardiac capacity. So we do not lose these things as we age. We simply stop doing them for one reason or the other. So what are some of the things that cause us to prematurely age or to bring illness into us? So from a biological perspective, and this will resonate and make sense if you've been following along the last few weeks, your health, your diet, your lifestyle, smoking, lack of exercise, those are the biological things that cause aging, wear and tear, right? So the more we're putting toxins and different things into us, the more we're putting free radicals and oxidants and all this crap in our body that we want to get rid of. That causes a lot of our aging. So keep that in mind, right? Your diet is everything. The next one, so there's three parts of this. The next thing is cognition. We stop learning and we stop growing, right? So if you think about this, if you when we on the news where the parents keep a child in captivity, and it's been X amount of years, and they come out and they're foggy, their language is stunted, they don't know what's going on, they're not oriented to person, place, and time, they're completely out of it, and their point of reference is different. The same thing happens when we close away people and don't allow them to continue to learn, right? So these things that you do here online, the things you do at the senior center, the amount of time spent with friends, the engaging with other people and pushing yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit about this, about neuroplasticity in a little bit, but learning is so important and needs to continue every day of our lives. It really does. Even if it's a simple puzzle, right? It's learning. Social. So what happens to all of us as we start to age? Cumulative losses happen. We lose a spouse, we lose a home, we lose a pet, we may lose a child, a friend, our independence, our jobs, different things. And when we continue to allow our social settings, social circles to be shrunk, that also adds to aging. We need people. We need others. And I think a lot of us have seen that during this whole Corona period, that I'm a very autonomous, independent person. My mother used to call me goddamn independent, and I thought goddamn was my first name. And I've come to realize during this pandemic how difficult it is without having other humans around, right? So that also contributes to it.
So, Kay, one fact that I know is being isolated and alone is like smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, 15 cigarettes a day. It's so bad for you to be alone. So, really, during this time, if you can reach out and call a friend or connect on Zoom or whatever you need to do, talk to your neighbor over the mailbox. It's so important for your overall health.
I love that. Yes, I would not disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And even in the nursing home, so I can, it's funny, different things, stay with you over the years. And there was a woman in the nursing home that I had worked as a consultant for, and she was always on the outside of the circle, right? Didn't talk, didn't make, didn't participate. She was just on the outside. And one day I just pulled my chair up next to her, and I put my hand over and I took her hand and I just sat there. And I don't know why I did. There was just something about her, right, that drew me. All of a sudden I look over and she's patting my hand with her hand with tears rolling down my face. And it's that individual that has been so long without comfort. And one of the things we learned in that nursing home and that we changed dramatically was most of the time that the staff touched a patient, it was to do on to them, give them a med, do a treatment, but it was never to just simply comfort them. So teaching human touch became one of our projects in that particular facility.
Mhm.
So, okay, polypharmacy, right? This never ceases to amaze me. Seniors represent just 13% of the population, but consume over 40% of the prescription drugs and 35% of all of the drugs over the counter. Individuals 65 to 69 years old average 14 prescriptions, and 80 to 84 average 18. That's a lot of med. What are we doing with all those meds? Well, we're getting constipated. We're having side effects. One med often counteracts the effects of another, right? This is a big problem. Polypharmacy is an expensive problem, and it's a healthcare problem.
And it increases fall risk too, Kay.
Absolutely,
Which is
positively. So when I would do my fall risk assessment, inevitably we would always find 2 or 3 drugs that were contributing to the problem every time. 15 to 25%, so about a quarter of the drugs is considered unnecessary or otherwise inappropriate. So one of the things that I can tell you about medication knowledge around the aged population, how you would treat something at 40 is very different than how you would treat it at 65. There are a couple of hundred medications that are on the no-no list. The Beers criteria is what it's called, BEERS, and they are meds that we should simply not be using at 65 and older because of the fall risk. And yet there are still, because of the shortage of gerontologists, there's a shortage of people in the know on these things. So we continue to have problems with this. And some of those meds you don't want to be touching is Benadryl, Tylenol PM, because it's got Benadryl in it, your Ativans, right? There's a whole lot of no-nos that we don't want to be touching because of the falls. Adverse reactions from meds account for almost 1/3 of the hospitalizations in the 65 and older population, okay? This is a huge problem. So in the community, medication-related problems are costing. So this is for folks aging in place. Annually, the cost of medication-related problems is over 177 billion with a B.
wow.
Okay. Hospital admissions, 121 billion. Long-term care admissions, 32 billion. Right? So are you starting to see this is a pretty big issue. So, and this is just a little bit of humor. Gardening, right? It's cheaper than therapy and you get tomatoes out of it, right? That's just a random thought stuck in there. Tips to prevent polypharmacy. Once again, I feel like the pharmacy board should be sponsoring my weekly talks. Know a pharmacist. Have a pharmacist that is your bestie. So all of your medication should come from one pharmacy. The only exception to that is if you have a mail order service, but then your mail order service should still be talking to your primary pharmacy. You don't want to have some of your scripts filled in CVS, some at Walmart, some at the Piggly Wiggly, right? You want them all at the same place. My mother was my favorite, most not favorite patient and used to have her prescriptions everywhere. So get them all in one place, because then you can get your pharmacist to run a really good drug-drug interaction for you and start teaching you where some of your problems are coming from. Next one, everybody. So every single thing you take, Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer is like drinking a bottle of salt, basically salt and water, for those of you that have congestive heart failure. Benadryl, Pepto-Bismol, any of these things you want your provider to know, because even though they're over the counter, there are things in them that put the medications that you're taking at risk and put you at risk for more falls. So everything. You want to ask your pharmacist for a complete list of all your medications. So once you get everything in one place and your over-the-counters and your supplements and your vitamins, you basically want your pharmacist to be the gatekeeper of all this, run you a drug-drug interaction, and then you want to take that to your doctor. And that list needs to be the list that you go when you go see your doctor and say, does this match what you have? right? And this is how we prevent and reduce errors. This is so, so important to do. And it's not that difficult to do. Okay. So everything to your pharmacist. Take a few minutes to update your pharmacist with everything you're taking over the counter. Ask them to please add that into the system. Ask for a drug-drug interaction report, and then take that report to your doctor. It's amazing what you'll find and what you'll teach your doctor.
Okay, quick
Yes,
question. How
yes.
often should you do that?
So it depends on how often your meds are changing, right? So for most folks, we're on a pretty steady regimen of meds. So if your meds haven't changed a whole lot, once a year, right,
Okay.
I think is plenty. If you're somebody who's been in and out of the hospital or have multiple specialists and your meds have changed frequently, I would do that every single time.
Okay.
So it really just depends on where you're at and how many doctors fingers are in the pie.
So will your pharmacist say, this is one you should talk to your doctor about, this may be a concern, or how should you pose that to your pharmacist best friend?
So your pharmacist, and again, you might have to interview a few for the date to this prom, but you want somebody who's going to give you the time, about 10, 15 minutes. This is where the small independent pharmacies just rock, right? Because there's a real personal rapport there. But they should be able to talk. So what a drug-drug interaction report does is it tells you, it might give suggestions for other meds. It might give suggestions like take your meds 4 hours apart. It might say always take this with food, never take this one with food. So
Okay.
it gives you all of that kind of detail. And then you kind of work it through between your pharmacist and your doctor of what's doable,
Okay.
right? So the next one is asking your pharmacist, when should I optimally take my meds, right?
Okay.
I most of us throw them in a little cup or in a box, and we take them all at once in the morning when we get up,
Right.
right? Most meds were not designed to be taken that way. So if you're gonna take meds, take them right. You're paying for them, or your insurance is paying for them. Take them right, and the only way
Okay.
to know that is to ask your pharmacist.
Okay.
Okay. If you're having a hard time taking your meds. So, this is where being an advocate is. So, for me, and I'm sure many of you out there, metformin, if I increase my metformin at all, I have terrible gastric problems. And I'm not a complainer. So, I don't get on the phone and say to my doctor, okay, this isn't working, right? I really have to suffer. And my husband has to finally go, call the doctor. So, if you're having side effects from your meds, if you're having a hard time tolerating something, don't suffer, right? Bring it up to them.
So
Very important.
in regards to that, so I switch my med and all of a sudden, it's making my stomach feel not so good.
Mhm.
Could that be a short-term thing? How long should I continue taking the med before I say to the doctor, this one is really not working for me?
So I always say 3 days because you never know. Is it something you ate? Is it something you did? Is it a flu or a bug coming on? So give it 3 days because some of us are cuckoo and in our own heads, we make ourselves crazy, right? And the doctor says, okay, look for this symptom, and then we find it.
Right.
So I always say, give it 3 days. If after 3 days it's not feeling right and you're not um, getting better and your body's not adjusting, give the doctor a call or send them a message.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. Okay, now let's get to our next one. Let's go right to neuroplasticity. So, neuroplasticity is a topic that we're going to get into much more in depth either next week or the following week. And it really is about this. So, the more you challenge your brain, the more your brain stays active and engaged. And one of the things that we did with my mom, now this is a very important tool, and it's called Ageless Grace. And it is about building new neural pathways. So if you think about this, when we're kids, up until about the age of 18, we are fearless, right? We climb trees, we jump fences, we do all sorts of crazy things. If your friend has a new game or a new something, you'd go over and go, show me how, right? We are learning, and our cognition and our neural pathways are rapidly expanding as a child up until 18. Then sort of peer pressure, self what's the word? Self-consciousness, all of that going on, right? And we stopped learning. Neuroplasticity is asking adults to go back to play. So this one, Denise Medved, fabulous, very clever lady, came up with these 21 different exercises that you do daily to keep your brain engaged. And what I can tell you is when my mom was starting with early stage dementia, and what we were seeing at that point was she knew she didn't know things, but how we noticed things were progressing is she stopped using the phone because without a person's space in front of her and prompts, she was losing it. So we started doing these exercises with her daily, and we were actually able to recover some of her memory impairment and buy some time. So this whole neuroplasticity, what does it look like? If you normally brush your teeth with your right hand, brush with your left hand. If you normally take Route 6 to go to work, today take Route 6A. If you normally park, if you're somebody who parks at the same place every day, park someplace different. It's changing up the pathways. And some of her techniques are like with your right hand, make a circle, and with your left hand, draw the alphabet, right? So you have to focus to keep this hand going in this. But what happens is you start to engage and build new paths. And if you think about your brain as a big field of grass, all you're doing is walking. You're forming a new path in the grass in the corn maze, right? You're just walking it out and walking it through. Do it a couple of times. Next thing you've got a path, and it decreases falls. It recaptures some of the functional losses that you have. It improves memory impairment. It will help with your sleep. It can also help with pain, right? So I mean, this is pretty good stuff. And we will get more into this. Ageless Grace is the name of the program, and it really is a program based on neuroplasticity, which is you can simply rebuild neural pathways in your brain, period. It's really that simple. And you do it through play and through doing things you normally wouldn't do. So you don't need a specific program, but this woman has some of the greatest ideas. She does. You have to go through and you have to think of animals in a zoo, or all the instruments in an orchestra. She comes up with all these different things. It's used all over the world by children and adults of all ages, and it's a personal wellness practice, kind of like a brain yoga, if you will. And it's designed to keep your body and mind functioning. And I love it. It's simple. It's fun. It makes you laugh. All things that are really, really helpful. So I'm gonna save that. We want to do that today, but I'm gonna save that for another time because I think it deserves its own show. But if you're an internet savvy person, pull up Ageless Grace and tell me what you think. It's good stuff.
I was going to say, Kay, another thing is Angela and I teach this program at the Senior Center called Aging Mastery, and it's really to enjoy the gift of time and use your time well. And what we found through research is up to 7 hours a day people are spending watching TV. And if you even give 1 hour back in volunteer service, it changes so much of your life.
Wow.
So maybe in an upcoming episode, I know Angela and I are going to try to offer it virtually, that we may want to have Angela on the show and we can talk a little bit about that program as a way of connecting people as well.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the key is engagement.
Yeah.
It's just keeping it going.
Yep.
So the benefits of exercise as we age, okay? So as I had said in the beginning, whether we are doing this with a 20-something or an 80-something, we all still have the ability to continue to gain muscle mass and strength. We don't lose this. So exercise, much as when we talk about our water, our diet, aging is right up there. And the interesting thing is there was legislation that was passed I'm trying to think if it was federal or Massachusetts, but one or the other, that simply said that all pharmaceutical ads had to have the disclaimer that diet and exercise, if diet and exercise were more effective than the med, they had to say so. So it would say, here's your Lipitor, Your doctor may prescribe you Lipitor, but please know that diet and exercise are the primary way to fix your cholesterol problem. So if you listen carefully to those ads, you will see that diet and exercise fix a whole lot. We may not like that answer, right? But they do, and they do it well. So when you exercise, what are some of the benefits that your body sees? Okay. So exercise will decrease the needs of many medications, many blood pressure, many cholesterol meds, many different medications that we take. People with arthritis feel that walking and doing exercise hurts. You get some pain initially, and then the joints start to lube up, and exercise is phenomenal for people who have joint limitations. It decreases constipation. So, one of the things that I hear about all day long about as we age in our bowels. So, when you take the fiber out of your food and you've got all these meds in and you're not getting enough water, constipation hits. Diet and exercise help with that. Exercise decreases your fall risk. So your fall risk increases as you age, but whether or not your fall risk with injury increases is up to you. Now, think about that. That's a really important point. Healthy folks, if I fall on the ground today, it is highly unlikely that I'm breaking a hip, right? I'm going to get banged up. I'm going to get sore, but I'm going to break my fall. My bones are pretty stable. I don't have any osteoporosis or penia. I'm going to fall. That's a fall, okay? You're older, your diet is more out of whack, you're more fragile. You hit that ground, that bone is going to shatter. That's a fall with injury. It's the falls with injuries that start to speed up the aging process, make us more at risk for needing assistance or being placed for assistance. So you want to reduce the risk of both falls and fall with injury. Exercise and diet does that. Decreases the risk of diabetes, heart disease, stroke, colon cancer, and osteoporosis. If I had a pill that did all that, I'd make $1 million, right?
This do exercise.
This is the thing that makes me crazy. It's, you don't skip the pill, walk.
With a friend, and then you're not isolated. It's all good.
See how this all
Two
works?
for one.
Right? And the thing is go back 100 years, you would never have had to have told somebody this. This is how we lived our lives. Now we really have become cuckoo people.
Go back to basics.
Going back to basics is what it's all about. Exercise improves memory loss, lowers blood pressure, decreases your arthritic pain, improves your functional mobility, right? So being able to continue to do the crazy things. At 55, the thought, if something drops on the floor, I'm like, okay, am I going to bend down and get it, or am I going to get kicked under the fridge, right? The more I'm bending down and getting it, I'm staying agile. So exercise helps you with that. It reduces depression. Folks, that's huge, huge, huge. Builds muscle mass at the same rate as the younger population, prevents bone loss, reduces stress, which we know, and it improves sleep. Okay? If exercise was a pill, somebody would be making billions. So there's that. Now, I'm going to go right to this is going to be our last slide for the day. What have we done so far with K Talks? And here's the thing, you can go back on YouTube or PACTV and head over to the Senior Center's page for all of the information over there too. So this is what we've talked about so far. So there's 9 things that we want to sort of keep reminding ourselves to make changes with in our lifestyle. We want to reduce household toxins and opt for natural whenever possible. So remember that show that we did where we used vinegar, baking soda, things like that to clean our home and got rid of the toxins, which caused the respiratory distress and problems to our organs, right? That was one big lesson. Reading the label on all foods, all cleaners, all body products, right? Read our labels. That's been a reoccurring theme. You are what you eat, and your gut is hugely important, right? We've reinforced that several times. The greatest antioxidant, anti-aging in the history of the world is water, okay? It's free. It's water. Stress and unresolved emotions and trauma will contribute and continue to contribute to your chronic illness and mental health issues. Fix it. We need to release these things. Your brain or your body, use it or lose it, right? It's really important. That was today's message. You better know your pharmacist by name and find a BFF, a best friend forever, that's a pharmacist, that they are invaluable to you. Whenever possible, eat your nutrients. Skip the supplements if you can eat the nutrients. And if you can't, choose supplements. They're as close to food grade as possible. And neuroplasticity and challenging your brain on a regular basis is a critical concept to understand. And it really is as simple as trying to do things today. So today, here's your challenge. Try and do things today with your left hand that you'd normally do with your right. It's that simple. Okay.
Okay, can I ask you a question? We got 9 things. If today everyone should change one thing, let's say 2. What 2 things should they start with today? Of those list of 9.
I'd go with water first. So I would do go to the water recipe. Distilled water with a pinch of sea salt is a great thing to do today, and get a ton of it into yourself, right? Get 40, 50 ounces of water into yourself. That would be probably the number 1. And number 2, I think what I would say is spend 5 minutes on yourself, evaluating your stress and being present.
Okay, so maybe some calming activities to make sure you're feeling good. A little deep breathing, a 3-part breath is always a good thing to do, just to calm yourself.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
And if not, go outside, enjoy this spectacular day, and take a walk.
Absolutely, positively. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's where I'd start, and then let the other things fall into place.
Okay. So it can be
that
simple as
list really. Yes. It's not hard. Right. And so when I say de-stress, and we all have a different point of reference. I know you love yoga. For me, de-stressing is going out into the backyard. So I live right on the water and have a buffered marsh. I could sit there for hours on end and probably see 20 different species of birds easily. Right. And to me, I can get completely and totally lost in that. And I have to actually say to my husband and my daughter, so when they see me sitting out there, they come out and think, oh, good, she's not busy. Now's a good time to bother her. And I'm like, no. I'm busy. I am busy. I am busy taking my stress down right now. You don't get to blow up my brain,
So everyone needs to find a place today, because we're running out of time, Kay. So we need to find your own personal calming solution. Bring out a glass of water with you as you do it, and then get a little vitamin D.
Perfect. Girl, I'm loving it.
It's a good day.
You nailed it.
So we're almost out of time. So once again, Kay, you are just a wealth of knowledge and information, and I look so forward to my Wednesdays with you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, my friend. Me too. I do love doing this. And you guys at home, please send us your topics you want to hear about. We want to make sure that we're doing things that are helping and serving you.
Have a great day, everybody, and be safe.